What I am proud of is not their achievement. What I am proud of is being part of opening that door for them. And for all the other girls who are not yet in university but going to go to university and who have found this thing because we are doing this and who would maybe otherwise would have not found IT as a field, or they wouldn't have dared to go into that course, or their parents wouldn't have let them to go into that course. Actually, I think it's very important that we reach out not only to the kids but to teachers and parents, because the discouragement comes from the environment, and I need to convince the environment that this is a good thing.
Yeah,
that your daughter becomes a software engineer or an other kind of engineer.
Hi. I was wondering, why did you start programming?
Well, I started programming because it was compulsory in university and you were actually my teacher. But that probably doesn't count. I started programming because I was looking for something else than what I was studying at the time, and I knew I was not going to be a researcher mathematician.
Okay.
And because someone once sat me down and said, Julie, I think you would enjoy creating web pages, and here's a website about how you do it, and why don't you try it?
Okay.
And also he was at that time studying at BM, and I realized that he's studying awesomely interesting stuff. So I basically started programming when I went into BM, and they said, okay, so now we are going to learn to program in C.
Okay, so you actually did switch at the university from a different major?
Well, I did finish both, but yeah,
Okay.
so I did switch careers in university while still in university.
And what captured you? So what is it that you most enjoy your job right now?
I enjoy creating working things from pieces. I enjoy that there is a relatively fast feedback. I think that does give a good lot of enjoyment, especially when you start out and start, drawing HTML pages, and then it immediately tells you whether you succeeded in doing what you wanted or not. But mostly right now I'm an infrastructure engineer, cloud engineer, and it feels that it just fits my particular way of thinking and structures that is unique to me. Other people probably enjoy other aspects.
Yeah. I also know that you are teaching young people.
I'm teaching all kinds of people.
All kinds of people, okay. Programming, and why do you do that?
Why do I do that? Because to put it simple, I didn't know I enjoyed this so much until I tried, and it never really occurred to me to try as an adult until so between the age of 10 and 22 it never really occurred to me to try.
Okay.
And I might have enjoyed it at the age of 10 would someone, teacher taught me, and not a programmer, sorry about that, but so not someone who wanted to teach smart boys programming but wanted to introduce everyone to this.
Okay.
So I basically teach because I want to make sure that as many people get the chance to try this as possible. And I find that my pet statistic is that around 30% of the people who try this like this, which is much higher percentage than the average population's knowledge of coding. So I try to teach everyone who is usually not invited, so who would not be the kid who signs up to this kind of class at the age of 12.
Okay.
This includes little girls, this includes women of all age, this includes art students of all ages and genders. So whoever would not be called out otherwise. And some like it, some don't. And some might even decide to, go to become a programmer.
And do you think that like is the software developer community welcoming?
I would say that the programming community is so big, it's not homogeneous.
That's true.
So our experience of what the software industry is vastly differs from someone else's who would work in a totally different company. And one characteristic of our side is that we are consciously creating cultures, company cultures, which many companies don't do. And where there is no conscious creating of company culture, then the company culture would be reflective of the given societies. And if that given society thinks that, you know, girls are not good at math, then programming girls will be regarded as statistical outliers, not as talented or tomboys or whatever. Our side of the software industry is actually striving to try to create welcoming.
Yeah, I mean, Prezi is pretty famous for that.
Prezi is pretty famous for creating welcoming environments. And also, what is characteristic to Prezi that I am not the only one who started programming late, and it's not only the women who are the career changers. There were many people in Prezi who studied something else, and some of them not even like engineering.
Yeah,
but,
it's true.
And there is this very I think one key to this is that we have a very big trust in Prezi's hiring process.
Okay.
So we understand that whoever joins Prezi is smart and has potential and has a job there. And what I constantly met is people have high expectations of each other. I definitely felt Prezi had higher expectations of me than I had of me, which is yeah, I know it's a strange. I keep feeling this. So this is a strange situation, but it's a better situation when you want to create something and people just think you're good for doing managerial work or making coffee or something.
Yeah.
Everyone feels better with like people. So everyone is always trying to will end up hiring people like themselves. And even when Prezi says that we want diversity, we even artificially want to create diversity, that is, diversity is made up from people who enjoy diversity or at least believe in diversity.
Yeah.
And in that way, we are alike or like-minded.
Yeah. So that's kind of, and it's interesting because I'm pretty sure that you read that Google memo that stirred up some
and
emotions.
Reactions and everything.
Yeah, and it was quite an interesting story. And one of the claims he made was that there is a monoculture in Google.
I can believe that. So I thought I have met this idea earlier that Google would artificially raise ratios of minorities.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with, and I can imagine that. So I can see this repeating elsewhere too. So I can imagine political correctness taken to the oppressive.
Yeah, that's something that can happen. But basically, what I think about this is that on one hand, it's really important to make sure that everyone feels invited.
Yes.
And everyone feels like they have a place in your company. But it doesn't mean that we should make sure that we have equal number of women.
No, I don't think we should make equal.
But what I think is that equality of outcome, as they usually refer to this, should be a result. We should strive for making everyone feel invited, and then
you need to do a bit more than that. So you need to. First of all, I don't believe that you should be hiring a higher ratio of women than what is the ratio of women or minorities in the general professional community.
Yeah.
So to recruit minorities and to have minorities, it's it's two battlefields two fields of action at least. One is with recruiting, so there is actually magic that you can do to make sure that you have more applicants. And once you got them, and once they actually made the bar and got into your company, then you need to have a welcoming culture. And what I always say is a welcoming culture is welcoming even without the minorities. It doesn't build itself around the minorities. It works the same, and this is what I feel, for example, at Prezi, that when I joined my team, I was the first girl on the team. But if I go to any other team in Prezi, even those that don't have girls, I am treated the same way. The good culture works without me actually being present. It's not a special courtesy to me.
Okay.
And that is very great. Also, I would like to say with that whole welcoming thing, we are in a very special situation because we are professionals in high demand. Simply, companies cannot really afford for us to feel shitty in our jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
This is all the beanbags, all the snacks, all the massages, and actually all the company culture is about that too. Because if you could get, software engineers as easily as you can get, Tesco shelf fillers, then they would not try so much to create a good workspace.
I mean, that's absolutely true, because like half of the engineers are missing, right? So we have double as many positions as people to fill them.
On the other hand, probably it's good for the whole economy if workspaces in general are good, and software companies are great experimental labs for figuring out what makes a good company environment or a good workspace.
Yeah, sure.
And probably many jobs will go into that direction where there will be like specialized professionals, because the automatable jobs will be automated.
Yeah.
So maybe human knowledge will get more valuable, and then you will need to always fight for having good professionals, but that's utopistic probably.
Who knows? Who knows? Is there anyone you started teaching and is now a professional? And are you? Is there anyone you are proud of? That's what I'm trying to ask.
So again, I regard teaching not as me giving knowledge, but as me forwarding extending an invitation.
Yeah, but that's really important.
But so Prezi and School, which is an organization for involving young girls in tech, we did an 8-week long processing course 2 years ago, and some of the girls from that course are already in university. They have completed their first year, and they actually applied to be interns at Prezi, and they worked with as security interns this summer, and I'm terribly proud of them. But for what I am proud of is not their achievement. What I am proud of is being part of opening that door for them. And for all the other girls who are not yet in university but going to go to university, and who have found this thing because we are doing this, and who would maybe otherwise would have not found IT as a field, or they wouldn't have dared to go into that course, or their parents wouldn't have let them to go into that course. Actually, I think it's very important that we reach out not only to the kids but to teachers and parents, because the discouragement comes from the environment, and I need to convince the environment that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
That your daughter becomes a software engineer or another kind of engineer. So I am proud of that. The achievements, that they are not mine. It's their time that they put in. It's their talent and their work. I have nothing to do with that.
And that's really true. I mean, everybody has to put in the work. No one is going to teach you programming. What people can do is show you how you can learn it, and show you why it's exciting.
but after that,
Exactly.
it's on you. But I think it's the work that you do by just showing people that this is something they might want to do is really valuable.
I like to think so too. I also think that so what I hear from people who are experts in what useful knowledge is that actually coding is going to be a necessary knowledge in like 10 years time. Not 20, I would even say 10. So like when I was a kid, knowing English was actually be a marketable skill. Now it's a necessary skill to be on the job market.
Yeah.
And I think the same will happen to coding, which means that we need to figure out how to teach coding to everyone, like we know how to teach music to everyone. That is called the Kodály method, like. And these courses that we do, we are actually experimenting in teaching material, and a lot of other people do that too. And in some countries, they already try to introduce it to the elementary school curriculum, how to do coding. What school does is very awesome. They are also being revolutionary in how to teach something, because there are helpers and the whole thing is fun and games and stories and no drills and not totally controlled. They often tell me that some kids, they cannot do anything with the fact that they are free to choose something. They are not told to do this and that, but I can really choose the color or the animation, and there is like no prescribed output. And even this is a new experience.
I mean, teaching people how to be creative, that's...
well, just in that case, just allowing them to be creative is already a diversion from standard school. But what I see here is that some people around me are putting a lot of work into creating teaching materials, and I think these teaching materials are going to be very, very important in the future, because they are going to be the ground of how hopefully a generation of kids are going to be taught programming or Scratch or processing.
Okay, if someone wants to start programming now because they just heard you and feel like, okay, if that's so good, I want to learn, where should they start?
So what I would do right now, what I usually recommend is to go to Udemy or Coursera, or probably rather Udemy. So go and find an online course, probably not a university one-on-one course, but something simpler and easier, because those are like very long and strict. But find any kind of online codes. Maybe Code Academy is one. I'm always mixed up the names.
I think it's Code Academy.
Code Academy, okay. So just find an online course and do it, and see if you enjoy doing it. And if you those are actually created with a lot of professionalism and quick feedbacks, and in very small-sized chunks, so you know how to figure out. Even like try Ruby.org or try Python.org would work. So just do something like that. Figure out if you enjoyed it at all. If you hated every bit of it, then maybe this is not the kind of problem solving that you enjoyed. It is a special kind of problem solving. But you enjoy that, then try another one, and if you enjoy 2 or 3, then look for...
Try to get hooked, right?
Yeah, get hooked, then try to find one that is longish and actually goes somewhere. And then there are like a plethora of lists of what to learn. And the other thing is find a community, some kind of community, because it is true that you learn alone, but programming, and especially problem solving, is not a solitary activity. It's actually so much better even if you can just talk about it. It's not necessary that the other person will give you the advice. Just describing your problem often helps you solve it.
Yeah, that's called rubber ducking.
Yeah, it's called rubber ducking. So, but find a community, find at least a mentor or someone you would say that
really
you
important.
can ask. question with, who would give you pointers about what to learn next, or who would give you help about where to look for answers when you're stuck and out of ideas. So there are communities that help beginner programmers, in San Francisco I have, for example, visited a study group for JavaScript for people who are just learning JavaScript and following some kind of online tutorial or pet projects or something. So something like that. And I think right now this is the harder part, where to find your community, especially if you're in high school and you cannot just go out anywhere in the city on a Wednesday afternoon for meeting a bunch of strange people. But this can happen online as well.
Yeah, I mean, what I know about in Budapest, there is this Pillbox, right?
Yeah, there is Pillbox and there is PyLadies, where you can go. But I'm pretty sure the school alumni will form some kind of online society very soon because they are growing up and they are on Facebook already. So
that's cool.
Well, thank you for taking me home and saving me from the rain.
Hi, thank you for watching this episode of The Morning Commute. I hope you like it, and if you did, please subscribe.